Hey, it's great to talk to you. I'm a huge fan. I grew up with you on SNL, man. You were always like my favorite cast member, so it's
Oh,
nuts to
thank
talk to you.
that's fun.
All right, so I love your paintings. Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
my boss Burge bought one of the ones you did, your Christopher Walken one, which is awesome. What got you into painting? How'd that start?
You know what, Chris? I've been doing it most of my life, at
Yeah.
level or another. I started when I was a kid, just sketching on paper, nothing really that concrete, and it just got more and more evolved as I went on in life. And went from drawing little cartoons, sketches to doing houses and landscapes, and ultimately, where I grew up in my bedroom, I had two framed pictures of caricatures of my parents, one in each in frame. And every night when I laid down to go to bed, I would subconsciously see that and study the way the artist had done that. And from that point on, I just loved caricatures. I'd always watch people, artists at the fairs doing them, and when it was on SNL during the table read, we're reading through the sketches that were written. If I wasn't in a sketch, I would maybe sketch somebody else across the table, in the margin of my script. And I guess recently, though, about a year before the pandemic, I started looking at some of these artists on Instagram,
Yeah.
really good ones, and I like their style. So I started following them and started kind of learning from them. And one of them became my mentor. Another one gave me like 10 lessons in England via Skype with him. And,
Hmm.
and now I just do it, and it's been fun.
They're really good. I mean, and the thing about it is there's like that you can really tell there's affection in them.
Yeah.
I feel like you only sketch people that you like. Like I'm not expecting to see a Steven Seagal one or something like that. Like it seems like they're all like you got Harry Dean Stanton in the back, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Right.
Would you say that's accurate though? They're people that you respect and like because it seems like there's a lot of affection in everything you're doing.
Mostly, I think it seems like there's a lot of affection because it took me so long to do each one.
Yeah.
They're each labor of love, right? And but yeah, I do. I do somehow capture their personality. It's mostly in their eyes, I think.
Sure.
You know,
Well, I guess Walken, you must have known him quite well from Saturday Night Live, right? How he was in like I think what 2 or 3 episodes that you were in?
I mean, I didn't know him that well. I knew him from working with him and
Sure.
hanging out, but that's to the extent. I never spent any time outside that studio with him.
Hmm. I like well, I think you really kind of capture his essence and the crazy walking hair, I think as well, right?
I made it much more crazier, of course.
So yeah, when you're doing these, what is the hardest part? Like I would assume it would be the eyes because that's where all the life is. But I mean, is it the skin? Is it the hair? Like I don't really know.
Well, because it's a character, it's kind of capturing that exaggeration of that
Hmm.
person, of whatever that is. And just getting back to that last question about how do I decide to on which ones I'm drawing. It's either yeah, I like them, or they're very popular in our culture right now,
Sure.
or a good reference picture I see, or I like the lighting and the shadows, and I find that person interesting as well. Yeah, but
Yep.
as far as drawing each one, it's really capturing the shape of their head and their features to make them exaggerated but yet still recognizable.
Sure.
And my goal is to push it even further than I have already, and really take it as far as I can where you could still recognize them.
Well, I really like your book too. I was reading some of it before doing the interview with your remembrances of everybody that go along with the portraits. You wrote a really nice piece about Robin Williams in there, but then you got new people like Daisy Edgar Jones and Timothée Chalamet. I thought that was really cool.
No, thank you. Yeah, yeah, it was that was a real labor of love, that book. It took me quite a while to do that. And originally I was just doing it and doing little anecdotes next to the picture, the painting. And in retrospect, in the way it is right now, it's more of a memoir, I think, for me, because
Sure.
each one of the people affected part of my life. And it may not necessarily be in the correct order, but it's all in there.
With the SAG strike now happening, I would assume that would you say that you're focusing on your kind of artistic on your art at the moment?
Yeah, mostly doing that, and some YouTube stuff I've been doing. I have a hiking show called
I'm
Hiking
a
with Kevin.
I wanted to ask you about that. Actually a very avid hiker. I hike a lot in Montreal, and I watch your show sometimes. I find it hard to. I don't understand how you manage to do these great interviews while you're hiking though, because when I do, I'm usually covered in sweat and disgusting by the time I'm done.
Yeah, well, the trails we go on aren't really that difficult,
Sure.
but it can be pretty hot here in California. So I've been doing that show for about 4 years now. And in the first year, the first season, the incline was maybe, 45 degrees. The next
Yeah.
a little bit lower and lower and lower. And now it's flat. And next year, if I'm still doing it, it'll probably be downhill with a car waiting for us.
I always have my car waiting for me at the end. Do you ever do any I'm really into winter hiking. You ever do any winter hiking?
I did some up in Lake Louise once. It wasn't that far of a hike, but I kind of walked around the trail. I like that a lot. I've done cross country skiing, which is
Yeah.
similar, but I did actually do some hiking in Sundance in
Oh,
Utah with
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Donny Osmond, and we had snowshoes on, and that was kind of fun. We kept falling a lot.
Yeah, I do that. I do that here in Montreal, and you wear like the compression gear and stuff as well. The only thing about that is when you take it off, it's disgusting because it's just covered with all the sweat that you've been kind of putting out
Yeah,
afterwards. So you want to like burn it when it's done.
yeah.
And the
That's,
car always smells on the way home pretty badly as well.
ooh, remind me not to go hiking with you.
Oh yeah, hey, no, you can come anytime. We'll do an easy one, so it won't be quite as
Yeah.
disgusting. Getting back to your art though, what would you say of all the ones that you've done, which is the one that you're the most proud of? Do you have one?
I have several. Christopher Walken is right up there. I think Chris Farley,
Oh, of course.
and I like Steve Martin came out great. I mean, there's so many, but I think probably probably Chris Farley and Christopher Walken. The Rami Malek's good too.
Yeah.
I just
I got
it's
Lorne Michaels there. Yeah, nice. Lady
yeah. I like
Gaga, Annie Taylor-Joy. Those are really cool.
Jennifer Aniston is a good one too.
Oh,
I like her.
nice.
Yeah, but I'm already making a list of more to do, and I'm always looking at reference pictures and caricatures, or looking at people as I walk by them. It's hard to live in this world now because everybody I look at, it seems like I'm in a fun house and their faces are all distorted.
Would you say, I know that you kind of mentioned a little bit before being influenced by different caricatures that you saw when you were younger. Is there one artist in particular that you find was an influence on you?
Um, Sebastian Kruger was
Okay.
one. Another one was, um, of course, I'm blanking out now on his name. It's mostly black and white.
Mhm.
Um, Very few lines. Hirschfeld. Yeah,
Oh,
Hirschfeld
sure.
was another one. Of course, all the Mad Magazine stuff
Oh, yeah.
was a big influence on me. Really, the first time I really experienced a lot of caricature work was in Mad Magazine.
Nice. We're primarily a film and television website, and I'd be lax if I didn't ask you. I tend to ask everybody, what, if anything, are you watching right now that you're enjoying?
On TV?
Yeah, TV or movies, anything that you've seen recently that you really liked?
Well, I've been binge watching a lot of stuff. Movie wise, I like action, so I saw Mission Impossible and
Oh, it's great.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I had to go see Barbie with my wife,
I mean,
and
all
she
three
made
of those are
me
pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, she made me wear pink, which is embarrassing. Uh, but yeah, so those. But my son and I watch a lot of TV lately during the summer. I never really saw much of Breaking Bad, and I just
Oh,
that
wow.
spoiled because every show now I don't know, I think it'll be as good as that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Better Call Saul,
That's
you
great.
know that, and then the Aaron Paul movie he did in between those. What was it called?
El Camino.
El Camino. So yeah,
Yeah.
and now as a family, we kind of watch American Ninja Warrior and
Oh,
Shark
nice.
Tank is
Nice.
big. Yep. And let's see what else. Oh, I started watching Peaky Blinders.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What are you watching?
If you're looking for something to watch and you want to binge, a really good show that's out now is The Bear. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have heard of The Bear, and I started watching that. And I used to work in the kitchen,
Oh, really?
So I felt like I was back at work again because it seemed like they never left the kitchen in the pilot.
It goes
But
on. They do kind of. It branches out more in the second season, and there's some great guest stars like Jamie Lee Curtis and Bob Odenkirk. Oliver Platt's really good on it. But you could pretty much describe every episode as tempers flare in the kitchen. I think that's a good
yeah,
summary of any of them.
well,
But it's great.
it's definitely on my list to give it another reshot. You know how you give things a second chance, and another one surprisingly was Succession.
Oh
I
yeah,
started watching, but so those two, yeah, I do need to binge watch those.
I was like that with The Wire, where like the first season, I wasn't sure if I loved it, but then I ended up just as a fluke rewatching it again, and then it became one of my favorite shows. So sometimes that
Yeah,
happens.
excuse me. Yeah, that's also those are my top three. I have to go back and watch. I know everybody talked about The Wire, and it's the same with The Wire for me. I started watching the pilot, and I thought, I don't know what everybody's praising the show for. I don't, it's a little slow for me, but I know it's good, so I have to force myself to watch the first couple of episodes at least, and then I know I'll get hooked on it.
Succession's actually not great until about halfway through the first season, and then halfway through the first season, all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, this show is amazing. One
I
last
like to
question.
just.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
just gonna say maybe I should just watch the end of every one of the first half the season with just a recap.
You
Going
could.
on.
One more question I got to ask you as a fan. I really liked Weeds when it was on. I always thought that was a great show, and I'd heard talk that maybe it would come back in some form, and I was just wondering if you had any insight into that.
Uh, I don't really. The first time I was going to come back, Mary Louise Parker called me excitedly and said, they're reworking it and just want to let me know. And then that kind of went away for a few years. And then just, yeah, recently I heard that there's talk about doing it maybe in Denmark or somewhere.
Because
But
I
I
could
have,
see it coming back, even as like a totally different kind of show. Like they could even come back almost like as an hour-long drama or something.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they bring us all back or not, but it'd be interesting to see how that would unfold.
I definitely want them to bring you back. I couldn't imagine the show without you. But
Yeah, thank
yeah.
you.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I love your art. And Berge is thrilled with your walk-in. I'm sure he's gonna get more. I'd love to get some too.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for taking the time with me.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care.